Hey friends, I am so grateful to be with you guys today, and I mean that sincerely. I know everybody's speaker says, hey, I'm excited to be with you today, but I truly am. You know, I've been speaking for 20 plus years around the world, really thousands of different speaking engagements. I've talked in front of millions of people from something like 50 different countries. I've been very blessed, and I have to tell you, I don't think I've ever been more excited or more honored to speak to an organization than I am today to share this time with all of you guys. And that's because I love Monet. I love this company. I love what you stand for. And I've got to know so many of you since I was announced as a speaker through social media over the last many months. My only regret is that we're not doing this in person where we can all be together in the same room. But I hope, in spite of that, you feel my heart, you feel my spirit, you feel my love for this company and for you. I really feel a part of the family. All the way from Stuart, all the way to the brand newest person starting to build their business here. You're a part of something truly special, truly remarkable. And I think the reason I love the company so much is everything you do, all of your success is going to be predicated on your ability to help other people. By the way, you've helped me. My hair has never looked better since I've been using the products. But I also love the part of the business that gives people hope and opportunity and a dream, because I bought a dream many, many years ago myself when I first got into business. And my business was predicated on developing people just like yours is initially. And it changed my life. And I hope today that I can give you some insights and some keys and how to make those dreams of yours become a reality, how you can help other people even more than you already have. Same time, maybe give you some hope that if I can do it, you can do it. And you know, I think the challenge of being a speaker or having some success or, you know, big following, a podcast or social media, is that, you know, you always see the after version of those that we put in front of you. For example, some of the other speakers, John Maxwell is one of my dear friends. He's been on my show. Wonderful, beautiful man. Nick as well, tremendous person, great speaker. And oftentimes, someone like myself, you'll see the after. Like if this was a weight loss commercial, I think the most powerful things in these weight loss ads you see, I think you'll agree with me, is they always show the before after, like the fat guy and now the skinny guy, you know, or the ripped guy. But they never, in speaking, you never see the fat guy in terms of life. Well, I was a fat guy in life, meaning I was someone who my life was out of shape for many, many, many years. And I turned it around. And so when you see the after of all of us, realize that's after a lot of speaking, a lot of polish, a lot of mentorship, a lot of growth, a lot of dreaming. And I hope that when you see the success of the afters, that it doesn't intimidate you if you're still in the before stage. And hopefully I'll give you hope. I'm an average man, you know. I come from an average, ordinary background. I come from kind of a great family, but a dysfunctional family. I think all families have a little dysfunction, but mine had a little extra spice. Some of you may not know I'm the child of an alcoholic. My dad's been sober now many years, but please pray for him. He's got cancer right now. In fact, as I'm recording this, my dad's actually in the hospital. And so I hope that you'll pray for my dad. But I know what it's like to come from a place growing up of anxiety and worry and fear. And I spent a lot of my life as an insecure person, you know, not a lot of self-confidence. And through the tools I'm going to help you with today and some of the stories I'll tell you, I think I'm an example that you can turn those things around in your life if you're just willing to grow, willing to dream, and most importantly, maybe your heart's in the right place where you want to serve and help other people. For me, just so you know a little bit about my story, I didn't really realize that till I was probably in my early 20s. I was a pretty good athlete. I played high school and then college baseball on a scholarship. I was destined to go play professional sports, and for whatever reason that didn't work out. And I found myself in my early 20s back at home living at my parents' house unemployed. That's where my business career to hundreds of millions of dollars started for me, believe it or not. It started in my little bedroom I grew up in. Same posters on the wall, same teddy bear on the bed, eating out of my mom and dad's refrigerator with no job. And I've always said that everything in our lives happens for us and not to us, even the most difficult things. And ironically, my dad was an alcoholic when I was growing up, and believe it or not, that happened for me and not to me. Even the hardest things in your life, someday when you get on the other side and you win, you're gonna find out that was all part of God's plan, that was all there to help you, not necessarily hurt you long term. It happened for you and not to you. And so for me, my dad had just gotten sober. I was unemployed, living at his house. My dad's one of those man's men, you know, like, hey, brother, you need to get back up and go to work. And I was sort of looking for a job, but not really. And maybe this surprises you to, you know, when you see my social media or my podcasts and stuff, I seem to really have my act together. Remember, that's the after. The before is I'm unemployed on my mom and dad's couch, sleeping in the same bed I grew up in. My dad comes home from his first AA meeting to get sober. First meeting. Comes home after me. I said, Dad, how was the meeting? He goes, we're getting sober. And he goes, and I got you a job. I said, you got me a job? What is it? As if I had a lot of options. He goes, you don't have any options. I don't know what it is, but you show up in San Dimas tomorrow morning at McKinley Home for Boys. I said, I don't know what that is. He goes, I don't know either, but it's $6 an hour. That shows you how old I am. And show up there in the morning. Get up early. So sure enough, I go, all right. I get up, I walk in there, and what I had found out was that this was an orphanage, basically an orphanage. It was a giant campus of group homes, like hundreds of boys, and all these little boys were wards of the court. Most of the boys there their parents were dead, incarcerated, or had molested them, these precious little boys. And here I am, kind of this cocky former athlete, and I walk into Cottage 8. Sorry, I've told this story many times, and for some reason today I'm more emotional than usual about it. I walked into Cottage 8, and it changed my life. There were 12 boys there that day. My boys were all 8 to 10 years old. Right when I walked in that morning, they were all getting ready for school. I got chills all over right now. All the boys stopped and looked at me, like, who's the new guy? And I saw all these little eyes looking at me. And I recognized those eyes because I have similar eyes. I have this theory that any child that grew up in some real dysfunction, drug addiction, alcoholism, abuse, divorce, stress and yelling in a house, our eyes are just different. We just want people to love us. And these boys had my eyes. And my life changed because instantly my life had to become about serving these boys. You know what these boys wanted in their life? Remember this, lesson number 1 to write down. You know what my boys really wanted? Somebody to love them, care about them, believe in them, and show them how to live better. That's what they wanted. You know what every single person you recruit into the organization wants from you as a leader? They want you to love them, care about them, believe in them, and show them how to live a little bit better. Show them how to have a better life. Those boys are no different than anybody you're ever going to recruit here. They're no different than me. They're no different than you. The greatest mentors in my life loved me, cared about me, believed in me, and showed me how to make a better life. And so my life changed. I was their father, their big brother. I took them to school every day. I was there when they'd open their present on Christmas. I was there when they'd bring home their grades from school. I did homework with them. I put them to bed at night. And it changed my life because for once in my life I found out, man, I love helping people. I love making a difference in people's lives. I love it. And I would have never left there except I couldn't have my own family living there. And guess what happened while I worked there? A business opportunity came along, one I wasn't looking for, never thought I'd do, and I got recruited into an organization where I can build and lead a team myself, and my entire life changed because I've spent since that day in business. No one's going to tell you this. In business, I've spent my entire business career from the premise of serving other people. My own needs second. Loving, caring, believing, and showing people how to live a better life in every single way. That's what I do on my Instagram, my social media, my podcast, my YouTube, all the company I'm involved with. And that's what I recommend you do. I learned my greatest business lessons at McKinley Home for Boys. 8, 9, and 10-year-old boys changed my life. I found out, man, I love helping people more than I like being important. I loved making a difference in their lives. And I found something, by the way, most dreams in our life show up making us feel like we thought it would feel, sometimes even better, but it usually doesn't show up in a package we thought it was going to look like. Isn't that true? I mean, even who we end up marrying or who we end up dating, they're probably not always the person like you dreamed that what they would look like, yet they make you feel that way you want to feel. Even the business. There's probably 10 years ago, you probably were thinking, you know what I'm going to be? I'm in a business just like this business. Probably not. But some of the greatest things in our lives show up in packages that look completely different than we think we want. And they change our lives. And that's why sometimes recruiting is difficult because we're like, I don't want to do that. That's not me. I'm not a salesperson. I don't want to talk to my friends and family, whatever it might be. They don't realize their dream lies inside this package in Mylett. It lies in the package. Because in that gift is the gift of serving people, making a difference, playing on a great team, being a part of something important. And so I want to take you through some of the keys in doing that. So I'm going to tell you, one of the keys, I want you to take a look at this slide right now and tell me what you think these people have in common. Steve Jobs, Ed Mylett, Oprah Winfrey. Take a look at the different people on that slide. Then take a look at the next slide for me. See the faces on there. The Rock, right? What does The Rock have in common with Mother Teresa? What do all of these people have in common? Let me tell you what it is. They are evangelical about their cause and their mission in their life. All great leaders are evangelical about their cause. They've got this evangelist way about them where they evangelize to people how amazing what they're doing is. That's what they all have in common. All great leaders. If you're going to become a great leader in this organization and develop great leaders, you must become more evangelical about your cause. See, every once in a while you're going to get asked by somebody, is this a cult? And you know what you should be saying to them? You've all been asked it before. You say, no, but I sure wish it was, because all great businesses have a cult-like following. Apple has a cult-like following, doesn't it? Apple has a cult-like following. Starbucks has a cult-like following. People will line up outdoors to get into that cult and get their coffee and that music and that vibe. All great movements have kind of a cult-like quality, a religious type quality, because they're led by an evangelist who's always, I'll give you an example. Take Steve Jobs. He only built the most influential company in the history of the world, Apple, right? But here's what you don't know about Steve Jobs. He was evangelical for his cause. There's a great book that you should go get. It's an old book. It's called Selling the Dream by Guy Kawasaki. Selling the Dream by Guy Kawasaki. Guy Kawasaki basically helped build Macintosh way back in the day for Apple, and he worked very quickly with Steve. Steve Wozniak is a dear friend of mine, the other co-founder of Apple. He's come and spoke to my Arte Syndicate coaching group. He's a wonderful man. So I've learned a lot about the inside of Apple. Well, let me tell you a story about Apple, because guess why Apple did great? You know what it was predicated on? Recruiting. Yeah, recruiting. Does that sound familiar? Steve Jobs was one of the greatest recruiters of all time. And why? Because he was evangelical about his cause. And by the way, he was a great recruiter when he was broke. See, I think a lot of people think, well, when I'm making a lot of money at this, or I've got a big team, then more people want to be recruited by me. That's not true. They follow your energy. They follow your spirit. In every conversation, remember this, the more certain person influences the less certain person. So all you've got to have is certainty. Certainty is influence. So Steve Jobs is this young executive. He's building this company called Apple. He's in his 20s. And he says, I got to get a great recruit to lead this organization. And he wants this guy named John Sculley. John Sculley runs a company called Pepsi at the time. Pretty big company. At that time, it was a really big company. Scully's making millions and millions of dollars a year. He's worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Steve is this kid. It'd be kind of like you going, my dream recruit would be so-and-so, right? And his dream recruit was Sculley. So he's trying to recruit him with money, with all this other stuff, and it's not working. And finally, he keeps calling him. So finally, Jobs calls Sculley one day, right? And Sculley goes to, back in that day, voicemail. He gets the voicemail and he says, hey, Sculley, I'm done talking with you about this. When you're tired of selling sugar water to kids and you want to go change the freaking world, call me back. Bam, and he hangs up. So what did he finally do? He finally led with the cause, with the purpose, with the mission, and not everything else. So Sculley gets his voicemail. He's driving to dinner with his wife, and it's on his car phone, and it's played out loud. Hey, when you're tired of selling sugar water to kids and you want to change the world, call me back. Boom, this cocky kid, right? And Sculley's driving, here's the message. He goes, can you believe this kid? And his wife turns to him and says, well, sweetheart, that is really all we do. We just sell sugar to kids. And John's driving straight and goes, what? She says, we're not making a difference. We're just making money. And John gets quiet for a while. They drive in silence. They get to the restaurant. They're about to go to dinner. And John goes, you know what? You're right. And the next day, John Sculley resigned from Pepsi and took a job at Apple, not even knowing how much money was in it for him. Because Steve Jobs was evangelical about their cause. Take a look at the definition of evangelist right here. Turns out an evangelist converts others by talking about the cause. Does that make sense? And so what I'm encouraging you to do is to lead with the cause and the mission of this great company, because it's so powerful. The difference you make for people with all the products, the difference you make of being part of this family, the camaraderie, the unity, Even the income that you all can make, the experiences, it's such a wonderful example. So always lead. Start thinking about how you can, by the way, being evangelical doesn't always mean that you're loud. It could be how certain you are when you look. It's how committed you are, how honest you are, how certain you are in your way of just loving this. It's not how loud, it's not even always public speaking as that says. But when people get around you, they get a sense you love it. They get a sense you believe it. They get a sense you're in for the long haul. That's when you start to draw people. That's when the magic starts to happen in all businesses, but especially this business here. And as you do that, just know it's going to be, I really believe this about business. Business is all kinds of about false starts. You think you get it going and then you don't. You think you have a lot of momentum and then you don't. You've all had those things so far in the business, I'm sure. Any business you're in. You know, the ocean's crashing behind me here, oceanfront. And one of the things the ocean is known for in nature is an undertow. And there's an undertow in life. See, here in the ocean, when you're out there in the water, right? The lifeguards will warn you, be careful, the undertow is strong today. What's the undertow? The undertow pulls you back. So what happens when you're in the ocean is you catch a wave and it's beautiful and you're riding. We've all caught a wave probably in our life, right? Just this amazing feeling. In the ocean and in business, we've all caught a wave. We've had a little ride, haven't we? Little momentum. You've had a good day, a good week, a good year, and you ride the wave. But what happens when that wave ends? Right when the wave ends, it crashes a little bit, and then the undertow starts to pull you back where you came from. That's the same thing in life, the same thing in business. It's natural. The idea is you get a wave, it goes great, and then there's a little bit of an undertow that pulls us back. But for most people, when the undertow kicks in and starts to pull them back a little bit, that's when they quit. That's when they lose belief. And that's the last thing you should be doing. It's natural that the undertow in your relationship happens once in a while. In your business happens once in a while. In your body, you get really fit, little undertow. I got a little going right now, right? Where it just goes backwards a little bit. That's nature. If all of life was just a wave forward, it would be boring. And so know when the undertow kicks in, that's just nature. The key thing in life is that you're just getting closer to the shore all the time. Closer to your dream all the time. But it's not a straight line. It's going to be a wave, you're going to get close, and it's going to come back a little. Then it's going to be a wave, and you get close, and it comes back a little. But over time, that undertow pulls you out less and less, and you're closer and closer and closer to the shore. And so when the undertow kicks in, just know, I remember when Ed said this is the undertow part. This is where everybody else quits. This is where they give in. This is supposed to happen, and I'm supposed to swim even harder now. Because long term, I'm getting closer to the shore. My career has not been one big wave. In fact, I think the separator, quite frankly, has been that when the undertow kicks in, I've been able to handle that better than most people. The measure of your career is going to be that. And how do you do it? Ed, how do I do that? You have to change who you are. You have to change your identity. The most powerful force in the world is to be consistent with your own identity. What's your identity? Your identity is the thoughts and concepts and beliefs that you hold to be most true about you, your worth. Listen to me. Most of you are ladies here today, so sisters, you got to believe you're worth it. You got to know you're worth it. You got to work on your worth all the time. That identity is like a thermostat. It sets the whole temperature. Like, for example, in this room right now, there's a thermostat, and it's about 75 degrees in here. It's about 90 outside though. So it's hot outside, but when that hot air hits this room, the thermostat cools it back down to 75 degrees. If it was 50 degrees out there, when it hits this room, the thermostat heats it up to 75. It regulates the temperature of the room. Your thermostat setting regulates the temperature of your life, of your happiness, of your bliss, of your savings, of your relationships. You have multiple different thermostat settings. And quite frankly, you could be in a business like this that has 120 degree type capacity, but if you still believe you're worth 75 degrees, every time you get it going to 80, 85, 90 degrees, you will turn the air conditioner on of your life to get it back to where you believe you deserve to get it. You will artificially create your own undertows to cool it back down to what you believe you're worth. And so you've got to be working on that worth. Increasing, I'm worth 80, I'm worth 85, I'm worth 90, I'm worth 100, I'm worth 120. How do I do that, Ed? You do that by associations. That's what's so great about this business. You can get around people who are living at higher temperatures, higher thermostat settings. The closer you get to them, they begin to heat you up. Think about it, even if it was in religion, for example. If you're a 75-degreeer in your faith, and every day you were meeting for a Bible study with 120 degreeers over and over and over again, wouldn't you eventually be an 85, 90, 95-degreeer in your faith? Of course you would. Same in business, same in your body, same in relationships, all the time. And so the key is to change that. The second thing is find some virtual mentors. I apply for the position. Follow them on Instagram. Follow me. Listen to their shows, their podcasts, their YouTubes, and just pick a couple and allow them to begin to affect you. Never before in the history of time could you get access, and I'm not bragging, but to somebody like myself every day for free. And you could take advantage of that changing you. And I'm so grateful for the thousands, literally thousands of messages I've received from so many of the ladies telling me that my work is doing that for you. And over time, if you take a business with 180-degree capacity like this one, and you begin to change your thermostat level, here we go. Something magic's gonna happen. See, now if you increase your thermostat settings to 100, 120 degrees, but you're in a job that only the cap level is 75 degrees of money or success or travel or happiness, you're stuck. You have to have both. You have to have the opportunity and the change. And if you mirror those two things together long term, this is going to be an amazing ride for you. Why? Because the timing's never been better for this business. My gosh, millions and millions of people are looking for a second income or a career change or a work from home opportunity right now like they never have before. All these parents with their kids at school, and how do I get them to school? How do I pick them up when they go back? They've learned this job I thought was so secure isn't so secure. The average person is 2 weeks away from not being able to eat in terms of their savings. So the world's changed the last 6 months. It's like the world conspired for you guys to win. Everyone's looking for a family to belong to and someone to love. Everyone's looking for a cause and a purpose and a mission. More people want mission and purpose than they even do money now. And so many people want a second income for now, just to supplement. And they love the dream of doing this full time so that they can control their future and control their dreams and control their destiny and change their family tree forever. Everything's in place for you to win if you'll just get after it, if you'll be evangelical, right? If you'll begin to talk about the cause, if you'll change you and grow you, if you'll fight that undertow when it starts to kick in your life. The sky is the limit. And let me tell you one thing about making change. Who are you going to do it for? How many of you out there have babies, have children, or want to have babies or children someday? Most of you. And I have to tell you one thing about kids. My son just went off to college, so it goes by like that. And I've got a 17-year-old daughter at home too. And I have to tell you one thing I've learned. You know, you parents, you'll relate to this. With your kids, when you go to a Christmas recital and there's 50 kids up there singing, which kid do you see? Who do you watch the whole time? Yours, don't you? Maybe yours and the one little kid over there lip syncing, but yours. You go to a soccer game and the kids are running all over the field. Who can you not take your eyes off of? Your precious one. It's a baseball game, right? Anything in life, they're yours because they're yours. Well, guess what, Mom? For your babies, you're their only mama. You're their only sister. You might be one of their only daughters. But in terms of your kids, it's times 1,000 how much they're watching you. Their whole vision of what they think they're capable of in life, you give them the window through. You may not realize this, but they're watching you way more closely than you realize. When they can't communicate it, or when they're 17 like my daughter and they pretend like they don't care, they notice everything. They notice whether you're winning, whether you're making a difference. And most importantly, do you know what your babies want for you so badly, Mom? And for some of you dads? They want you to be happy. And they know whether Mama's happy. They know. They know whether you're happy. It's not good enough to say, baby, you can be whatever you want to be. Well, why aren't you, Mama? Baby, you can become anything in the world. You can be so happy in your life. Life is amazing. Why aren't you, Mama? They see it. They want you happy. They know you're not telling them the truth. They want to see you winning. They want to see you making a difference. They want to see you growing. They want to see you becoming the best version of you. They can't say it. They won't say it. And they love you because you're their mama. But there becomes an age where they figure out who you are and how happy you are and what you've achieved and who you've helped and what you've become and what your life is. They'll always love you, but don't you want them proud of you? Don't you want them proud of you? If you don't have children, don't you want your family proud of you? Don't you want God proud of you? All they want is you to be happy, but they know whether you're lying or not. I'm going to show you a video here real quick that I think will bring home that point.
Daddy is the sweetest daddy in the world. Daddy is the most handsome, the smartest, the most clever, the kindest. He is my Superman. Daddy wants me to do well at school. Daddy is just great, but he lies. He lies about having a job. He lies about having money. He lies that he's not tired. He lies that he's not hungry. He lies that we have everything. He lies about his happiness. He lies because of me.
Well, that one gets you, doesn't it? Gets me too. I want you to be happy. And I think you have all the opportunity in the world here to be happy if you begin to make some of these changes. I don't want to be overly religious with you, but I just want you to know that God made you to do something great with your life. You. And it's not always going to be easy. In fact, oftentimes, to build something great, the bigger and more magnificent life you're going to build, the deeper the foundation needs to be. And the more and more people around you are going to begin to think you're crazy for what you're doing. I'll give you an example. When I started to do, pretty well in business, even after I started to do well, my family still doubted me. You get that question, when's enough enough? And there was this piece of land. I lived in Idaho, and there was this piece of land on this lake, and I would drive by it. It was my dream to own this land and build my dream home there. And I didn't really have a plan. I don't think you always have to have a plan. I think sometimes it just starts with a big old dream, and you start to find the way there. And sometimes God will provide that. The Bible tells us without a vision, the people will perish. You have to have a big vision for your life, or something about you begins to perish. You begin to just exist. Your spirit begins to perish. It begins to dwindle without a dream. Every single person was born to do something great with their life, and they need somebody to come along and remind them of it in the world today. So many of us are down and depressed and worried, and we've got anxiety about the world, and the world's looking for someone to come in and give us hope and a vision of our lives so that our spirit can get turned on again. So I'd go buy this lake property, and it was this beautiful property, and this old man had a little cabin on the side of this beautiful property that wasn't built on. And I'd tell my family, I'm going to buy that. Daddy's going to get that someday. We're going to build our dream there. And finally, I met the guy who owned the property, and I'd come by on my little cheap boat every summer. I'd say, hey, you ready to sell this place? And he'd say, I'm never selling. I'm never selling. I said, all right, well, when you're ready, I'm your guy. I didn't have any money, right? Not enough money. So I do that another summer. I come by, hey, Richard, you ready to sell? No, man, I'm never selling this thing. I kept thinking, why? You live in this little crappy cabin on this magnificent property. Clearly you can't afford to build the dream there. Sell the land, right? And so finally, 3 summers go by. Nope. Finally, 7 summers later, I go by, Richard, you ready to sell? He goes, I just might be. You might have caught me at the right time. Park your boat. And my wife's next to me. I said, oh, man, we don't have any money. How am I going to do this? And we get off the boat, and we start talking, and somehow I put together some crazy deal where I traded him my house and a little bit of money and a loan and all this other stuff, and I buy my dream property. That's kind of like joining the business. What happened right when I bought it? From everybody I know. You're crazy. Why'd you do this? You're out of your mind. What was wrong with where you were before? Does all that sound familiar? Sure does, doesn't it? Why do you need more? And then, this is my dream. Well, guess what? I start to bring construction people out there, contractors. Like, the first guy walked out, he goes, so you wanted to build a house here? And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna put my dream house here. I have to get the money together. And he goes, you can't build a house here. This land is impossible to build on. I'm like, what? Imagine my heart racing. I've got millions of dollars in this place. Everyone already thinks I'm crazy. I said, what? He says, no. This is all rock. There's no way, and there's water running all over this property right here. You've got streams and springs and everything. You can't build here. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And if you ever get that feeling, even in the business, like, oh, what have I done here? What have I done? And so the next contractor comes out, you can't. I've gone through 5 of them. I'm panicking. I'm panicking telling you the story right now, as a matter of fact. So finally, one good old Idaho boy comes by and he goes, well, you could, but you'd have to pretty much blow up the hill. I said, well, what's that mean? He goes, well, we'd have to get like a jackhammer out here and just start blowing the rocks up till we figure it out. I said, well, how much is that jackhammer? He goes, 30 grand a week. I went, what? He said, yeah, 30 grand a week. I said, well, how many weeks are we talking about here? He goes, I don't really know, son. We just have to get started. 43 weeks later, the place looked like a bomb went off somewhere. You ever seen some unfortunate situation in the Middle East or something, like middle of Beirut, a bomb went off, rocks everywhere, water springing up, looked like just a war zone. And he said, it's not working, we're gonna have to dynamite the whole property. And I remember sitting there one day, and I'm not kidding you, my wife thought I was crazy, my family thought I was crazy, I'd gone through all my money, I was already doing pretty good. What have I done? My God, this is the biggest mistake of my life. I literally started to cry. I was sitting in my mess. I had this huge mess. Like, people would come by on their boats, go, what does this person do? Imagine seeing this from the lake all summer. Who is this fool? How did he not know you couldn't build there? He's ruined that property. He's ruined the lake. It's an eyesore. I heard it's this Ed Mylett guy. I mean, it was horrible. And I'm sitting there crying, sitting in my mess, thinking I've ruined it. Maybe some of you today, to some extent, have that feeling. So finally, I find this architect and I bring him out, and I said, I don't know what to do here. I'm on my last, I have no more money, and I'm crazy. People think I'm crazy. And he goes, oh, we can repurpose this mess. I said, what did you say? He said, we're going to repurpose this mess. We're going to build the whole dream with this mess. I said, what are you talking about? He goes, all these rocks, we're going to build the foundation of the house with them. And with the other rocks over here, I'm going to take all this water and build a magnificent waterfall that diverts all the water away. And the rest of them are going to be the retaining wall that protects your dream, protects your house from the water of the lake. We're going to repurpose this mess and build your dream. And lo and behold, if you look at these photos, take a look at this home now. It's one of the most magnificent homes, dream homes in the country. We repurposed the entire mess, the whole foundation of the house, is built with those rocks and that mess that we exploded and dynamited. The whole wall in the front there, the waterfall, all the stone on the house was all repurposed into this magnificent dream. And if you'll listen to me right now, your mess in your life that you're going through does not disqualify you from building your dream. In fact, God wants to repurpose your mess and make something magnificent with. Remember this, the bigger the dream, the deeper the foundation. Sometimes the bigger the mess, the bigger the dream. But so often in our lives, we have these things we're ashamed of or worried about or afraid of that we think disqualify us. They don't know about what I've done. They don't know how broke I am. They don't know how insecure I am. They don't know about my divorce. They don't know about my bankruptcy. They don't know about this mistake I've made. They don't know how much of this I've messed up or that I've messed up. Your mess does not disqualify you. In fact, God wants to use your mess to build a dream and then take that test you went through and use it as a testimony as you motivate and inspire more people with where you had to come from to get to where you're going. Please hear me on that. Get an amen from me on that. I mean it so deeply for you. Hope you're feeling how fired up I am about that. Isn't it cool? There's no crowd. I'm sitting here in my living room overlooking the ocean, and I'm more fired up than I've ever been because I know you can do this. Let me give you one more key. I've tried today to give you hope, keys, stories to remember, identity stuff, and then other tools. Let me give you one more thing. We got to do this quicker, though. We got to make it happen faster. So how do we do it quicker? How do we compress time frames? How do we be different than other people? So one of the things I've used as a key, I'm going to give you a secret, is what I call mini days. See, the 24-hour day is antiquated. It's pre-internet. I don't even know who came up with it. But most people measure time 24 hours a day. So they get 365 of them a year. Well, heck, that might take a little while to build a big dream if that's all you got. And I started thinking, when I used to need to find out about a topic, I'd have to get in my car, drive down to a library, get out of my car, find the book, check it out. Now, I Google it, I got it in a minute. When I used to have to get directions somewhere, I'd have to get out a Thomas guide, read the darn thing, get lost 50 times. Now it's on my phone. Everything's faster nowadays. When I had to call, it was a rotary dial. They had to be home. I had to catch them at the right time. Now I can text. You get it. So if everything's got that much faster, why do we still measure time in 24-hour days? It's the most ridiculous thing in the history of the world. So I started changing that. I'm like, wait a minute. Have you ever had a morning where you're like, I got more done this morning than I've got done in an entire day or week before? I have. We all have. Why? Because we can now. So I've created mini days. For the last decade of my life, I've gone from millions of dollars in net worth to hundreds of millions of dollars in net worth, to having 2 companies, to having 20 companies, to having no social media, to having 10 million people a week listen to my stuff. Well, one of the reasons, hopefully, is I teach good stuff, but one of the reasons is I've been running mini days. I got an unfair advantage. So for me, the first day of my day is from 6 a.m. to noon every day. That's a full day. And in that window of a day, I pack in the fun, the memories, the fitness, the appointments, the calls, the contacts, the income generation in that day. I measure it in 6 hours. My second day is from noon to 6 p.m. From noon to 6 p.m., I measure in the family, the fun, the memories, the work, the contacts, the meetings, the appointments, the learning, the growth in that day. That's day 2. Day 3 is from 6 p.m. to midnight. And in there, my meditation, my prayer, same as the other days, my growth, my appointments, my meetings, my emails, my texts, my fun is from 6 p.m. to midnight. I just got 3 days. Well, the average person got 1. Well, now, if you add that up over one person's normal week, they got 7 days. I got 21 days. You add that up over a month, I got 84 something days. Add that up over a year. I've got thousands of days when the average person only has 300. Add that up over 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. It'll change your life. So I've compressed something that takes normal people 10 or 15 years into a year. What takes a normal person 90 days or 3 months, I can do in 2 weeks. And by the way, you're going to find at first it's awkward, and eventually you're going to go, my God, I really do measure these days. There's a clock that goes off at me at noon every day. Okay, day 2, 6 p.m., day 3. When I wake up, 6 a.m., day 1. Is that not amazing? When you begin to measure your time this way, it will change your whole perception of your life. And by the way, technically that means I'm probably going to live to 250 or 300 years old because of the way I measure time. You understand what I'm saying, right? This will revolutionize your life. It's one of the key strategies I could ever give you. And my whole family knows I do this stuff with time, right? So we all kind of do time differently. And I'll share this story with you last because I think it'll make a big impact on you. I have 2 children. They're both very different. My son's a sweetheart. He's away on a college golf scholarship. He's just the nicest, kindest, most easygoing dude. Everyone that meets him loves him. He's like his mama. My daughter's sweet and kind, but she's more like her daddy. She's pretty intense, and she'll just tell you right to your face, like, hey, Dad, what's up? So when time was coming up as a conversation with my family, when I turned 48, I'm 49 now, I turned 48, my daughter on my birthday, we're sitting there, everyone's blowing out the candles, and we blow them out, and she finally goes, everyone's there still, my whole family, she goes, Dad, what's up with this midlife crisis you're going through? In front of everybody. I said, what did you say? She goes, you're in a midlife crisis, Dad. She goes, look, man, come on, you got the beard going, you know, the selfies on Instagram, there's a little bit of midlife crisis going. And I said, Bella Boo, I've been in a crisis all my life, sweetie. She goes, what? I said, honey, Daddy's in a hurry to make all of our dreams come true. I said, listen to me, Bella. Every year, you got 37 trillion cells in your body. Every year, your entire cellular structure changes in a year. It's brand new. Your digestive tract, it's like 3 to 6 months. Your lungs and digestive tract remake themselves. Why would you not remake yourself every year? And she's like, come on. I said, no. I said, Bella, when you weren't born, when I was 20, I was in a crisis to be a better version of me by the time I was 21. All my cells are changing. Why shouldn't I change? She goes, oh my God. I said, when I was 29, I was in a crisis to be a totally better man at 30. At 40, better man at 41. So yeah, when Daddy was 47, I'm immediately in a crisis that when I turn 48, I'm a different man. I'm a better man. I'm a happier man, more productive man, more giving man. And when Daddy's 70, he's going to be in a crisis to be a different version of himself at 71. That's life. Not enough people get it. And so I just want to say that to you, that why is that? Why am I that way? Because some point in all our lives, there became an age. Think about when you were 7 or 8 years old. The 8-year-old was totally different than you at 7. Think about your children if you have children. Your 9-year-old is a totally different person when they're a 10-year-old. The 11-year-olds, I'm watching my son now, this 18-year-old boy. He doesn't even resemble in any way the pictures of the little 10-year-old boy. He's remade himself many times. Children do this. But as adults, we get to an age, don't we, where that change begins to slow. And then at some point, it doesn't even happen at all. The 29-year-old is exactly like the 30-year-old. The 30-year-old's the same amount of happiness, same memories, same thoughts as the 31-year-old. The 40-year-old's a lot like the 39-year-old. And so my challenge to you is to continue to remake you, grow you. And if the people around you suppress that and don't understand it, explain to them that it's happening to them involuntarily anyway in their body. Why not let their mind do it? If our lung tissue, our cells all change, why isn't our mind changing? Why isn't our external life changing? It should be. That's what life's about. Because some point, this life here ends. And for me, when I die, I don't know about you, but I'm chasing the best version of me. Here's what I know about you. I told you earlier, God made you to do something great with your life. He made you to do something great with your life in big ways and small ways. Big things, from the achievements and the money you might make to the small thing no one will ever remember except the person you reach out to with that text message when they need it and you say, I love you, I was thinking about you, are you okay? That's greatness coming out of you. I want to challenge you to know that. See, all your life you've known you're supposed to do something special. All your life you've known you're special. When you were a little girl, when you little, was there somebody in your life that made you feel special? A mom, a dad, a grandpa, a grandma, a coach, a teacher, they made you feel loved and special. You can't even explain it, but you just knew. Almost all of us have had that person. And if you haven't, I apply to be that person for the rest of your life. Connect with me, follow me, I'll be there for you. But go back and think about that person. Who was it? Are they still here or have they passed away? When you were a little girl, they just looked at you and you knew. You know who I'm talking about. You can't even think about them without getting emotional, because that's the God in them touching the God in you. For me, it's my great papa. I'm named after him. I'm Edward Michael Joseph Mylett III. And Papa was this big, larger-than-life guy. No high school education. His dad died when he was very young of alcohol, but he stormed the beaches of Normandy on D-Day. He built a pretty good life. And I was his firstborn grandson. And I had this family that was a little bit stressed, but every Sunday when I was a little boy, I would wait for Great Papa. Because on Sundays, Papa would come by and pick me up before church, and we'd go get donuts. We'd go to Goody Good Donuts. And I'd ride with my Papa, and I would wait all week to see Papa, just to get that 1 hour of that feeling in my life. And back in those days, he'd pick me up and put me in his lap. We lived in a kind of small town, so I'd ride in his lap in the van, and he'd look down at me, and he'd say, I love you. You're going to do something great with your life, Eddie. You're the special one. And I'd look at him, I am, Papa. He goes, you are. Right now, all through my body, I still get goosebumps. Hundreds of times my Papa, I would sit there and feel safe and loved and believed in. And he meant it. And he had no idea what that meant, what I was going to do, and neither did I. But he was right. Whoever told you that was right. And if they haven't told you that, I'm telling you that, and I'm right. You're going to do something great with your life. Because when we die, I think you meet the person you could have been. I'm a Christian, so when I die, I want the Lord to go, hey, well done, good and faithful servant. And I have this hallucination. He goes, by the way, let me introduce you to the man I made you to be. This is who you could have been. The people you could have helped, the memories you could have had, the places you could have been, the moments with your family, the highs, the recognition, the achievements, the magic moments. That's the guy I made you to be. And my dream of my life is that when I meet the Lord and I meet that man, that he looks back at me and goes, man, you did it. You caught me. You caught the man you were capable of becoming. You had the moments, the memories, all of it came together, and you became the man you were capable of. And I'm going to look back and go, man, I've been chasing you all my life. Well, you caught me, brother. Congratulations. To me, that's heaven. Heaven is meeting the woman you were born to be, capable of becoming, and you did it. Hell is you meet her and you're total strangers. You didn't have the moments. You didn't have that feeling. You didn't become that person. You didn't make the difference. Your family wasn't as proud of you as they could have been. That's hell. All I want for you is heaven, in every sense that that means. And so I want to challenge you to do the things we've talked about today, to take full advantage of this wonderful opportunity and truly to become the woman or the man that you're capable of becoming. And I'd be honored to be just a little bit of help in the process of doing that. I hope you have an amazing rest of your conference. And God bless all of you, and Max out.